Hello everyone, welcome back to another Project Gladiator weather forecast. Today I'm going to be covering the weather for May 26th of 2023. Currently there is an enhanced risk for deep south eastern New Mexico and deep western Texas, with a slight risk that goes into Mexico, as well as a slight risk for much of the northern high plains, as well as a pretty large marginal threat that extends all the way from Canada all the way into Mexico, as well as a marginal threat for the southern Florida Peninsula that I probably won't cover. I'm mostly going to only stick with a slight risk and enhanced risk for today, but our threats include a small 2% tornado threat for that northern enhanced risk, as well as a 5% for the enhanced risk, and a 2% for the slight risk, as well as a 15% wind threat for the slight risk, and a 30% wind threat for the enhanced risk. For our hail threats, there is a 15% for the slight risk area, as well as a 30% for the enhanced risk area, with a hatch significant threat, as well as a 15% hail threat that goes down into Mexico. Taking a look at our pivotal weather model, starting off with the 500 millibars, we can see that there is a subtropical jet that is making its way and out of the Pacific Ocean, which is increasing the mid-level winds compared to yesterday, which were in the 20s and 30s, which are now increasing them to the 40s and 50s, which is also going to potentially increase the mid-level to low-level shear for the area, as well as trigger most of the severe weather. And most likely enhance it. But then we also have a pulse along this strong low-level trough here, this small pulse along the Pacific coast, which is also expected to be transported along the trough up north to that slight risk area and quickly be used up, but definitely contribute to the slight risk that is in that area, as well as provide ample wind shear. Now moving on to the dew points and humidity in the atmosphere, focusing on Texas for now, you can see that there are upper 50s as well as lower 60s, which is going to be very ample for instability with whatever strong lapse rates we have. And then as well for the slight risk area, it is much weaker with dew points in the lower 50s to upper 40s. However, strong lapse rates in the area should boost it to more moderate Cape values. Taking a look at our lapse rates here, you can see that for the Texas area, we do have lapse rates that are more on the weaker end and more lower moderates. But then further up north to the slight risk area, you can see that there are lapse rates that are in the 80s to 90s. With that weaker humidity, these lapse rates for further up north should be enough to boost instability to the 1000s, as well as further down south, the stronger humidity with the weaker lapse rates should be enough to also boost instability to the 1000s and possibly the 2000s. Taking a look at our instability here, as I predicted a few seconds ago, you can notice that for the slight risk area, the lower dew points with the stronger lapse rates are keeping the instability mostly in the 1000s, with hardly anything in the 2000s. But then further down south, there are values that are mostly in the 1000s, but some yellow patches in some areas that could go up to the 2000s. This is mostly going to contribute to the possibility of some large hail, mostly in the enhanced risk area with the stronger instability, but still possible for the slight risk area. This could also contribute to the possibility of some tornadic development for both tornadic possible places with whatever wind shear we have, mostly again in the Texas area where we have the stronger instability, but still possible for the area. But then you notice how instability in the slight risk area does decrease around 20Z. This is going to be important later, so keep that in mind. Taking a look at our low-level wind shear here, focusing on the slight risk area, keep in mind the 20Z I told you about a few seconds ago. You can see as strong wind shear develops, but then the Cape values begin to decrease around 20Z. You can see around the time strong lapse or strong wind shear develops for the slight risk area, it is around 20Z, where Cape values are decreasing significantly to weaker moderates and weaker and in the hundreds. Because of this, tornadic possibilities are going to be very slim in the slight risk area, but still sufficient enough around the 20Z marker when Cape is higher and wind shear does begin to develop. But again, because of how split apart these two events are, it's likely going to make tornadic possibilities for the slight risk much lower than the Texas area. But then moving down to the Texas area, you can see that very strong, wide lapse rates for much of the area develop. This is going to contribute to strong tornadic possibilities with the moderate to upper moderate Cape values that we were seeing just a few seconds ago. Taking a look at the surface instability here, in this part I will show you why there is a 5% area for tornadoes in the deep southeastern New Mexico area, and it all ties into this. So further on, you can see that around this area, where that 5% tornadic threat is, there is a clump of strong surface instability, which is going to contribute to tornadic genesis with whatever wind shear we have. And by this time, wind shear has stayed mostly the same with values in the 20 and 30 knots. Cape values have also decreased to weaker moderate levels. These weaker moderate levels are mostly going to be in the 1000s, not in the triple digits yet, mostly in the 1000s, and most likely not in the 2000s in any areas. However, this is still going to allow for tornadic genesis, as that cape is still very buoyant enough for tornadic development. But with the strong clump of surface instability and the 20 to 30 knot wind shear, it's going to make tornadic genesis in the 5% area very possible. Now that I've told you the weather, please go down in the description and check out the socials for Project Gladiator and join the Discord for any updates on Project Gladiator, and hopefully I will see you guys tomorrow with another forecast.